Welcome back to Gold Derby. I'm Christopher Rosen. I'm so pleased to be joined by two-time Emmy nominee Hannah Einbinder, who plays Ava on the Max series Hacks, which just finished its amazing third season last week. And I absolutely love this season. I guess I just wanted to start kind of with the finale. Certainly, it probably the best episode yet, I would say, and maybe your best episode yet on the show. I was reading another interview where Lucia Aniello was saying it was the best acting I've ever been a part of about your scene, your big confrontation with Jean, which I was like, that's really a high compliment, I would imagine. And like, I guess just given all the complexities and shifting emotions in that scene, like, where did you start and like, how do you kind of prepare for that kind of moment?
Well, thank you. First of all, that is also sweet and nice. I'm so glad you like it. I'm so glad you are liking the show. Where do I start? I mean, I have to say, like, this is such a credit to the writing that I'm given. Like, I can't hold back those emotions when I read those words. Like, when I'm in the table read, I'm sobbing. When I'm memorizing my lines, I'm sobbing. Like, it's really hard for me to turn that off. And so it just feels so innate. And especially when I am looking in Jean's eyes and in the scene and surrounded by our crew, and I know everyone around me is like a part of this collective that we all, have made this show together for years. It's very sentimental and it's very, very emotional. And so, really, I just, you know, try to collect myself beforehand and just enter the scene and remain present. And it just kind of flows, I think. It's just kind of, I feel like I come from the Jean Smart school of acting of just like show up and let her rip, you know?
I think that's great. I was going to say, I mean, it is so present because Ava's going through so many different like emotions in the scene, and it feels like contemporaneous almost. Like you're just kind of like it's happening in real time. It's just such a pleasure to watch. I've watched this like I've watched an episode many times in that scene. I keep watching it. It's like I can't believe the stuff you're able to do and the stuff that is not being said that you're able to get across for Ava in that scene. It's just really remarkable. And like
Thank you.
I just think it's like really great. You
Thank
mentioned
you.
like Jean also, obviously this was your first TV show, right? Like, so you like are like working. So you worked on the show for 3 years, working with Jean Smart, who's obviously a legend before the show, and continuing to build her legend with the show. Does that like, I mean, like how? I guess like how did you kind of like how did that help? Like you doing this with her, I guess makes it even like it's a great scene, but getting to do it with her, I guess like yeah, how did that even help you further, or like yeah,
Yeah.
like having her opposite you, yeah.
I mean, it's such a help. It's such a, I mean, I really credit her for a lot of the performances I'm able to turn out. Her and of course Lucia and Paul, who direct a majority of the episodes. Um, Truly, like not only when I obviously have scenes with a lot of other people, but the majority of my scenes are with Jean. And as I am in the scene, I'm also really paying attention to what she is doing, and I am learning from her in real time. And also, like in between takes, when I'm watching her walk through the physicality of things, like she really has not only just her natural ability, but also a very intricate technical approach that um, is just very straightforward that I've been able to observe and tried to absorb. So yeah, I mean, I think in an emotional scene like that, also specifically to the context of that scene, she's really stoic and it's really powerful to be so consumed by emotion and be across from someone who is so impenetrable, but someone who I have seen in our work together and, of course, off screen as well as this joyous, hilarious, comedic force, and to be confronted with her stoicism in a moment where I'm totally raw does heighten, my ability to perform, I think, for sure.
Yeah. Did it feel like, I mean, like the season, this show so far, I feel like has been building to this moment for Ava, right? And getting to say these things to Deborah and saying a lot of stuff. I'm sure that like, yeah, like that was very like she's been waiting to say, I guess, right? Like, and like, was that, I guess, from a character standpoint, is that like cathartic to get to express these things that maybe you haven't gotten a chance to say as Ava yet.
Absolutely. It's super cathartic. You know, um, there was this didn't end up making it in. But at one point, Lucia was having me say, like, you stupid bitch, like yelling that, because that, there was this like thing of, that is kind of the subtext of the scene, like just the frustration. And, Ava's been kind of slapped around by Deborah over the course of this show, and Ava is no angel. She is certainly not innocent. She's transgressed in her own ways. But I think, there's a lot of harm that Deborah has caused in her own life, and especially to Ava. And that comes with, of course, all of the really great ways that they benefit each other. But yeah, it definitely felt like it felt like the lose yourself moment, if I may reference Eminem.
Please do. Yes.
You know,
Yeah.
I'm going to go ahead and do that. It's too late. It's been done. She really, mom spaghetti. You know what I'm saying?
I do love it. Great, great moment. It's really. I love that too. I want to ask you. I know, obviously, you're not the writer of the show, so I hazard to ask, like, but I guess I wanted to ask you about, like, just in terms of like Ava. I hate thinking about this as like they're real people, but the show feels so realistic, right? That it's like, oh. But I was reading another interview with Lucia, and she was like, oh, and when we go back and we get the twist ending, right? And when Ava's like, I'm gonna, we'll be ashamed if, like, we know what happens, right? With blackmailing Deborah for the job, and Deborah being like, you wouldn't dare, and Ava being like, yeah, wouldn't you? And I was watching that, and I was like, do you? So I guess, like, Lucia was saying, like, Ava maybe lost her moral compass, right, to make that choice. But I guess for you, when you were playing it, did you also leave open the possibility that she actually would not do that, but she knows Deborah would do that, and so she's playing Deborah's fear off her in that way? I guess. Does that make sense? Do you understand?
Yeah,
Like,
of course. Yeah, totally, totally. I mean, my interpretation of it genuinely is that Ava is overriding everything within her to make this choice. And that it doesn't matter whether she would do it or not, that Deborah is so stuck in her own experience, she cannot imagine someone being able to use that information and not doing it, because
mhm,
she is so ruthless in that
right.
way. So to me, Ava doesn't want to do any of that. She never wants to do that. She may be like tough in her ways, and she may be confrontational in her ways, and she may be sometimes brash, or whatever you want to say about Ava, but I don't think that she is like Deborah in that sense. And so, I think she plays off of her understanding of Deborah in that moment.
Yeah, I think so too. I really like that. And I like what you're saying too about, like, yeah, like, I think that makes a lot of sense. And certainly with the character, and it's a great, obviously a great finish to this incredible season. I do you have, like, we talked a lot about this serious stuff. Like, this is very a lot of heavy dramatics in the episode, but you're also hilarious this whole season. I feel like there's so many. I was just writing down, like, tons of great comedy moments. The cringe proposal with the wolf girl prop. My God, I was watching that and just, like, hiding my
Brutal.
eyes. It's so uncomfortable, and he's playing it so well. I guess, like, can you talk a little about, like, yeah, like, I think you're really great physical comedy too in that, like, or it, like, the way you kind of just are. It's just so awkward and kind of cascading. I guess I love that. Like, can you talk a
Thank
little
you.
bit like that sequence, like, just being able to be so funny on this show, which is obviously hilarious.
Thank you. Yeah, I mean, I love utilizing just yet another tool in the arsenal with the physical comedy there. It's it's, I mean, I love playing awkward, and I think Ava is pretty much always awkward or slightly weird when it comes to like any interaction she's having with a partner or a potential partner. Like, she's like goofy and awkward, I think, in that way. Um and so yeah, it is fun to play into that. But it's so, again, like, I really do feed off my other actors. Like, Lorenza Izzo, is who plays Ruby, is so incredible in that scene as well. And I'm looking at her watching her realize, and I'm, still obviously playing in my ignorance until the moment where it's revealed, but like I am using her embarrassment, on her face to fuel mine, you know what I mean? So it really is that exchange that, you know, that feels like the collaboration that brings the performance
Yeah.
out.
Even hearing you talk about it, I'm getting like it's secondhand embarrassment again, just like thinking about it. It's so good. It's so awkward. It's like so good. The other one I was like, I love the yes and I guess it is, which is the college campus episode, and Ava
Mm.
being constantly trying to be young. I just found that absolutely hilarious, and like just like, oh yeah, and like the progressive, you maybe check out some for progressive. I think the new stuff is more progressive. Again, hilarious and just like great timing. And just like interacting with the younger people, watching Ava in that element, I found really amusing as well.
It's really interesting because over the course of the show, like I started the show when I was 25, 24. I was cast when I was 24. By the time we started shooting, I was 25, and I'm 29 now. And it is this strange area of your 20s where you, like, 28 when we shot that. And it is like, because Ava's obviously the same age as me. She has my face and body, and my voice. But she is in this place where like she's young, but not really anymore, like not, she's not like as young as this group. So it is an interesting thing that like I very much feel like that you're describing is also like this like late 20s representation that I don't think I've really seen as much, just in terms of like, to Deborah and in her world, she is like this young girl. And then she's put in the context of these kids who are in college and she's not. And they're like, ew, what? And she's like, what do you mean? Like, it's this thing of like kind of getting up there in your 20s where like you really don't know what's going on really anymore. So I thought that was really fun too.
It's really good. You mentioned, like you just said there, like how like Ava has your face, like it's you, right? But you're not Ava. And I guess like I feel like having watched your comedy special and stuff, which we could talk about in a second here too. Like it is clearly you're not the character, but do you find like do people still like kind of conflate you with the character, I guess? And like, do you feel like when you get to do like performance like you did here in the third season, that maybe that will allow them to separate it more, or like you think
Maybe.
like yeah,
Yeah, I think maybe. I mean, it's hard to know just what people think. I definitely think like I have imbued Ava with a lot of my comedic affect, and Paul, Jen, and Lucia have written to my strengths as the seasons have progressed. So that is the way in which comedically there has been a fusion. But yeah, I think in terms of like her psyche and her internal world and, her backstory and, you know, her temperament and her disposition, we are certainly different. But yeah, look, we're both queer comedy writers, you know, in who like, in LA, if you will.
sure,
She's in Vegas, but whatever.
close enough.
So there are some pretty surface, on paper similarities between us for sure. But yeah, I mean, yeah, I'm definitely like softer than Ava.
Yeah, I
I'm
thought of that
definitely
because I was watching an interview Allison Williams did with like about talking about girls and how like people conflated all the girls actors with like all the male actors were treated like they were acting, and the girls actors, the actresses who were great were like, oh, you're just playing yourself, and it's like not like you're not, because you're such a good actor actually that you make people think you're playing like a version of yourself, but it is different enough, and I think
all
you also
right.
are getting to do that here in this show as well. The finale obviously was renewed for season 4, which I was like, yeah, can't wait.
Thank
So
you,
I'm
God.
sure, like, what are you? I guess ends in a great spot. So like, where, like, what are you hoping for? I know you're not going to say anything or whatever, but I mean, what would you be hoping for, or like expecting to get to explore more of, or what would you be excited to explore more of in season 4 for Ava?
I mean, I really look forward to more of the dynamic that's teed up in the finale. Like I really am hopeful that there will be an adversarial turn for some of it, obviously not like all the way, but I would love to play that with Gene. I think we would have a lot of fun being like enemies.
I think that would be really great to watch. Do you have like, I mean, like the response, like, I mean, I'm not just gassing you up. The response has been like really great. It seems like people love the finale. Very excited about the season overall. Does that, do you like kind of read all that stuff? Are you aware, like, are you like, not like, are you like, yeah, this is great that people are really responding to it? Or like, how do you kind of like balance that, like looking at the response?
I see people send me stuff. I don't have Twitter, I only have Instagram, so I don't go online really on there. But you know, people tag me and stuff. I do see stuff on my Instagram, and people will send me nice things sometimes. It's very nice. I
Yeah.
appreciate it. I really
Okay.
do. It makes my heart warm. I'm glad people are smiling and laughing and loving. You know.
Right. Yeah. And I mentioned your comedy special, which is coming soon to Max. It is really great. I got to watch it already. I guess like what are you
Yeah.
like just overall, like what are you excited about to get that out in the world and like show people, and what are you like kind of hoping like yeah, what do you like what were you excited about? I guess about like getting to share that with people.
Yeah. I mean, this hour is something that I've been working on for many years, and before I ever had any hopes of doing anything else, I just wanted to be a stand-up comedian, and that is my first love. And it has, my career as a comedian has really been made possible by my career as an actress, and I'm so grateful for that. Um, and I mean, it's something that I really have thought a lot about and done, all over the world, and toured and whittled and perfected and spent years on. And so I'm just excited for people to see it because I love comedy. I am a student of comedy, and this feels like my, you know, my purest contribution, my purest expression of comedy in the solo performance, writing space. So yeah, I love stand up and I love comedians. Every type of comedian under the sun has influenced me. I think there's beautiful, beautiful comedy to be seen in the club world and the alt world. Great physical comedians, great mixed media performers, high energy, low energy, character performers, storytellers. I love it all. So I try to do it all and express it all in this like one almost like variety hour, exploring various mediums of performance all under the umbrella of stand up. So I hope people laugh. I think the truest and purest purpose of comedy is to, make people laugh and give them a little bit of a time of relief from the chaos and suffering and in the outside world. And hopefully, hopefully I will do that. So
I
I hope
yeah.
to do that. Yeah.
I think you will. It's very funny, like I said, and I think all the stuff you said there is really cool because if you when you watch the special, I think you really see all of those mediums, and it's super creative and like really fun, and like the character work I think is really great, and like just the staging of it I think is fantastic too. I just like all
Thank
of it
you.
really works so well together. Two-time Emmy nominee Hannah Einbinder plays Avon Hacks season 3. You could stream on Max, and the comedy special later this month, I guess in June here on Max as well. Hannah, thank you so much.
Thanks, Chris. Appreciate you.